Well, the first time we saw the site was 10 years before we started to build. The most gorgeous thing about it was that the centre of the site was full of amazing trees. So that was important. We saw that as a room in itself. It has to be, I think, understood as that the terrain is the house, and that one can sort of lay out under trees and on the decks. And it's really like a campsite in that respect, and it is possible to occupy the site most times of the year out of doors. And so there was this opportunity and interest in locating positions where the last of the afternoon sun in winter would fall and where the light comes in the morning. And so if you could be high and look out to see what the moon was doing. So there's just that interest in being out of doors, and therefore there are only really two rooms into which to retreat when the weather is cold and windy and wet. We knew that the power of the horizon was so great that it would be a wonderful thing to explore, setting that view up from the back of the site, so that we chose to place the house to one side, so that there's only a very small part of the house has a big view to the ocean. The timber that we use and the trees outside have a relationship. The house is part of the material quality of the landscape, and in the way that the tree has the trunk and the branches and the stems and the twigs, the house has some of those components much more formalised within it. Part of the interest is in the way that we can live closer with the surroundings. It seemed to us also that that occurs in association with things that we might have experienced in childhood or in our imagination. So to suggest that an outpost in among the trees at this high level deck, that it might be somehow a nest or a basket, preferably a nest, and because it's quite tight space, came about in an interesting way in which it was built without that first. And then walking around and thinking about it and seeing it sitting there, understanding that in order for it to be a special place and not an extension of a much bigger space that's out of range, that it needed actually some way to have this metaphoric value as well as a shape to define it. And people are surprised when they come there to see how small it is, and also that it's quite rough in parts and very simple. But I think people who do visit it, who are struck by the light, the use of the way that its transparency works, but also its containment. And the definition of the outside spaces, it's light-handed, but it's there. All the places are shaped and form is given, all the dimensions are there, but it's not, none of it is insistent in spatial terms. And I think people are dreamers, and there's a child there. Even the most hard-nosed come away saying, well, it's just like a kid's treehouse, what are you up to? And others go, oh, this is a place I could settle into. So there are different responses, and it's not for everybody, but it does appeal to the dreamer, I think.